Welcome to Trinity Lutheran Church in New York Mills, Minnesota. Today we're going to talk about a promise is a promise.
Don't weep for me when I'm dead and gone, for I'll just be going home. Heaven's light will shine on me. It will lead to eternity. When I take my final breath, lay these feeble bones to rest, and I will run through heaven's gates, where my blessed Savior waits, and He will take me by my hand, and I'll be happier than I've ever been. Now don't you worry, we'll meet again and stay together in the promised land. And I will hear my daddy sing, feel my mama holding me, and I'll cry tears of joy when I see my baby boy, and he will take me by my hand, and I'll be happier than I've ever been. Now don't you worry, we'll meet again and stay together in the promised land, and He will take me by my hand, and I'll be happier than I've ever been. Don't you worry, we'll meet again and stay together in the promised land.
Long ago when I was a young guy, my dad periodically knew that he would get off of the pipeline job a little bit earlier than a lot of times usual. And he'd tell me in the morning before he'd take off to get out on the job, he'd say, "Kirk, when I get back home, we're going fishing." And my dad was very, very good about keeping his promise on that. So I would, by the time I got out of school and time I got home, I'd have everything ready to go. I'd have the fishing rods ready, and I'd have the life vests ready, and the canoe paddles, because all we had is a canoe back in those days. And I knew we were going to, more than likely, Little Simonton Lake, and go out there and catch us some either red ears or bluegill or whatever was going to bite. And I absolutely, with great anticipation, looked forward to that promise. I'm sure there was many a time as my dad would come up and over the hill down the driveway, he'd see me standing there just waiting with excitement. I'm kind of that same way still today when it comes about fishing. I get a little bit excited about it. I don't get to do it as often as I like. That's another story. But today I want to talk to you about a promise that is way beyond anything that we can imagine, where God keeps His promise. In the book of Joel, we see in the 2nd chapter, the 18th verse, and it reads, Then the Lord will be zealous for His land and will have pity on His people. The Lord will answer and say to His people, Behold, I'm going to send you grain, new wine, and oil, and you will be satisfied and full with them. And I will never again make you a reproach among the nations. The prophet Joel is telling the children of Israel, even when they completely turned their back on their God and turned their back to other gods of this man-made debauchery in the land that they were in, our God was always faithful. His promise was always that His Son, our Savior Jesus, would come out of the lineage from generation to generation to fulfill the law for us in our place, and then ultimately become a one-time sacrifice. The good news for you and I, God can't but keep His promise. And that's really important to you and I in this world that we live in. Because too many times the promises that people give us, and I don't care if it's politicians or friends or family or whoever, they fall short a lot of times. And it leads us in a quandary and scratching our heads. But the promise of God has always been fulfilled. He promised to come and save us from sin, death, and power of the devil. He achieved that. Now, a second promise He's going to fulfill. He's coming again, where He's going to bring you and I, His baptized, redeemed, forgiven children of God, by grace through faith in Jesus Christ. He's going to bring us with Him to glory when He comes on that final day. In the meantime, we wait with the comfort, hope, and certainty in the promise of God. Do you know somebody that doesn't have that trust in that promise? Share this devotion with them. Just hit, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do. Hit like and share. And then however, you can do it through text and Messenger and Facebook. There's all kinds of ways of sending this out so they too can hear the good news of Jesus Christ in a dead and dying world.